Most of us have a childhood memory of a toy, a doll, or action figure that we had a special connection to.
And for today's guest on Show and Tell, it was a Cabbage Patch doll named Ellie. Tony has her story.
If you grew up in the 1980s, you'll recognize the Cabbage Patch dolls that I'm holding. A lot of kids had them. This particular one is named Ellie, and she belongs to my guest today, Brennan Wood. I feel like I need to hand her back to you. What makes Ellie so special to you, Brennan?
Well, Ellie was a huge connection point in the 80s between me and my mom, Doris.
Your mom, Doris, she passed away when you just turned 12 years old.
Yeah.
So when you look at Ellie now, what is that connection?
We got her using my birthday money before the craze, right when they first came out. And I just loved her, and my mom loved her too. You'll see the clothes she's wearing are all clothes that were my favorites, that my mom, when I outgrew them, made into miniature versions for Ellie.
Wow.
She also would make Ellie a matching Halloween costume to me, and even one year for Christmas took Ellie to get her portraits done at Sears.
Wow. So, I mean, the fact that she did all this for Ellie says a lot about who Doris was as a woman and as a mother. The loss must have been just tremendous to you. And I know part of how you worked through that was by coming to the Dougie Center.
Yeah.
And now here we are, all these years later, you're the executive director. What has that journey been like for you?
Well, you know, my mom was magic. She made every day a celebration. She was so much fun, and when she died, just a huge piece of our family, our life just went away. And to pick up the pieces, very fortunately, I was able to come to the Dougie Center. And the Dougie Center was the single most impactful thing that happened to me in my life after my mother's death.
But it is a painful process.
It is hard, it is painful, but the reality is that unsupported grief and trying to make it all go away instead of really working through it ends up with some really negative outcomes for kids, for families, for our communities.
What would she make of all this?
It would be a wonderful thing for her to see and witness, and yet what we know is that my life's journey is so shaped by my mother's life and my mother's death. And I think that, you know, I would give anything to have my mom here, and yet it would change everything. I have deep sadness, of course, and loss and grief over my mother's death. I also have deep appreciation and joy and gratitude for the gifts that have come into my life because my mother died.
She really sent you on that journey.
Absolutely, and both of those things can be true. We can hold joy and sadness at the same time, and both can be real.
I'm gonna hold Ellie at the moment. I'm gonna say thank you, and it's so good to see you again as always, and I really appreciate that. And best of luck to you and to Dougie Center, such a valuable resource here in our community.
Thank you, Tony.
She's very huggable. I love what you said about holding joy and sadness at the same time, and I know all of us have lost loved ones, and you really learn that, I think. You can be happy and sad at the same time.
And it's important to feel both of them.
Exactly, and without kind of regret or feeling odd about it. She's learned so much about grief, Brennan has, through the years of being involved in Dougie Center. She actually wrote a book called Children's Book About Grief. I put a link to it to our website, so check it out if you want to. If you know someone, a young person who's lost someone in their life, I mean, really valuable resource. And of course, Dougie Center, if you're not aware of them, check them out, Google them, do what you got to do.
They do amazing work.
I know, Joe, you always do the Porsche rally.
I have, and real brief, of course, we did the surprise squad with them last week, and we had that young man, Elijah. He just lost his father, and he said to me, unprompted, 8-year-old kid, he said, you know, they have a display for his dad. He says, I feel sad at first, but then I remember my dad is still with me. An 8-year-old kid. And by the way, they're a Dougie Center family. So for a young kid to have that perspective is pretty incredible.
Yeah, check them out. Whether you need them or you want to support them, you can't go wrong.
There you go.